Welcome to this explainer. Look, today we're tackling a scenario that I bet is going to feel incredibly familiar to a lot of you. Think about that woman, maybe she's over 35, who wakes up even before her alarm goes off. But ironically, she's already exhausted. You know the feeling, right? Her mind starts racing the second she opens her eyes, making these massive lists. The coffee, the kids, work deadlines, the bills, that one text message she completely forgot the reply to. She is just constantly overwhelmed, feeling like she's somehow failing at everything, or like she's completely lost all her willpower. Well, if you identify with this at all, pay really close attention, because the information we're unpacking today is an absolute game changer.
Okay, let's dive into this. Your body isn't broken. It is just trying to survive. Honestly, this single phrase is the beating heart of everything we're exploring today. For years, we've been taught to look at symptoms like anxiety, insomnia, chronic fatigue, or weight gain as the enemy. We kind of just assume our body is failing us or working against us. But the surprising truth, and this is based in pure biology, is that your symptoms are not the enemy at all. They're actually incredible adaptations by an organism doing absolutely its best with very limited resources just to keep you alive. Your body isn't at war with you. It's just stuck in survival mode.
Think about the journey of this everyday heroine. She is that essential woman, right? The one who takes care of everyone else and fixes every single problem. But by ignoring her own needs for years, she slowly begins to lose herself. First, it's the brain fog, forgetting simple words mid-sentence. Then comes the weight gain, even though she's actually eating less, followed by constant fatigue and weird changes in her digestion. And what happens when she finally goes to the doctor? The blood tests come back normal, and she gets that incredibly frustrating response, "Oh, it's just aging." Or worse, she goes online and the internet tells her it's a lack of discipline and pushes her into some extreme diet. But here's the thing, the problem isn't age, and it is definitely not a lack of discipline. The real issue is a massive loss of biological reserves.
And this is where we completely flip the script. You see, traditional medicine focuses on the old way, fighting each symptom in total isolation. Can't sleep? Here's a sleeping pill. Gaining weight? Go on a super restrictive diet. But this whack-a-mole approach totally fails in the long run. Why? Because it's literally like trying to paint the dry, dying leaves of a tree instead of just watering the roots. The Recalibra way proposes the exact opposite. We need to understand and heal your biological terrain. The symptom is just the messenger. Your underlying terrain is the true cause.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it introduces our first major concept. Section 1, the biological energy bank. So, the way complex biology transforms into something we can all easily understand is by looking at it like economics. Your body functions exactly like a bank, managing a very strict daily budget. It constantly has to decide where to invest resources and where to make cuts. The absolute ideal scenario looks like this. You wake up feeling refreshed, and you've got exactly 100 energy coins in your biological bank account. With 100 coins, your body doesn't need to panic. It happily invests in vital functions like keeping your heart beating, but it also splurges on biological luxuries. It grows strong hair, it keeps your metabolism running fast, it produces fertility and libido hormones, and it ensures your memory is razor sharp.
But what happens when you're that stressed out woman, sleeping terribly and constantly rushing around? Well, you don't wake up with 100 coins. You wake up with, let's say, 58 coins. But the biological demands of the day are still 100. Your body is highly intelligent, so it needs to avoid bankruptcy at all costs. So what does it do? It starts cutting non-essential investments. It shuts down your libido, halts fat burning entirely, and pulls the plug on the energy meant to repair your skin and hair. All of this just to save enough energy to keep your heart pumping. See, it's not laziness, it is just pure biological math.
So how exactly are we losing and gaining these coins? Well, on one side of the ledger, we have our biological thieves. We're talking chronic stress, awful sleep quality, silent inflammation, way too much screen time, and a sedentary lifestyle. These guys are just draining funds from your account all day long. But on the flip side, we have biological investments. These are the deposits we need to make to replenish those coins. Things like getting real natural morning light in your eyes, eating adequate protein, taking actual moments of silence, and spending time in nature. So the big question you've got to ask yourself every single day is, did I lose or gain coins today?
All right, that brings us straight to Section 2, the 5 biological terrains.
This is where we get into the actual diagnosis of what's happening inside you. Forget the scary disease labels for a second and just see which terrain describes your current internal environment. The toxic terrain? That brings bloating and constipation. Basically, your elimination routes are super sluggish. The exhausted terrain is marked by needing coffee just to function, along with this deep, heavy fatigue. Then there's the alert terrain, which brings constant anxiety, muscle tension, and insomnia. The inflamed terrain usually manifests with joint pain and feeling totally wiped out after exercising. And finally, the disconnected terrain. That's when you're just living on autopilot, feeling absolutely no joy. The crucial takeaway here is this. Two women can have the exact same symptom, but if one has an exhausted terrain and the other an inflamed terrain, their treatments need to be completely different.
Let's move to and see how this builds practically in Section 3, the ladder of recalibration.
Because now that we understand the problem, we really need the solution. And this solution has to follow a very specific biological sequence. Skipping steps here is the biggest mistake people make. I mean, you literally can't start by attempting extreme fasting or high-level performance biohacks if your foundation is broken. Step 1 is always the foundation: regulating your sleep, getting proper light, managing your breathing, and signaling safety to your body. Step 2 is reconstruction, providing the right protein and actually fixing your gut health. Only after that do we move up to optimization and finally performance. Building health is exactly like building a house. If you don't lay a solid foundation first, the roof is going to cave in for sure.
Moving right along to Section 4, the roots of health.
To visualize this even more clearly, think of your body as a massive, towering tree. Modern medicine loves to focus on the fruits and leaves. They're trying to spot treat insomnia or weight gain. But what about the roots? The trunk that supports this entire tree is made up of your 10 master systems. We're talking the circadian rhythm, the nervous system, the mitochondria, the microbiome, the immune system, and so on. Everything inside you is deeply, deeply connected. Symptoms only ever show up on the leaves when this trunk of interconnected systems loses its natural rhythm. If your gut is inflamed, your brain is absolutely going to suffer too.
Now, one of those master systems involves our emunctories. The analogy here is just fantastic. Think of them as the drains of your house. You've got your liver, gut, kidneys, skin, lungs, and the lymphatic system. Now, if the kitchen sink gets clogged up, the water starts overflowing, right? So you try using the bathroom drain, but that quickly gets overwhelmed too. It's the exact same in your body. If your gut, which is a primary drain, isn't working, your skin or your liver has to take on all that extra burden. And that leads directly to that toxic terrain we talked about earlier.
And this brilliantly illustrates how our nervous system works as the grand conductor of the whole biological orchestra. Every single second of the day, it is asking one primary question: am I safe? The crazy part is, it doesn't know the difference between a literal saber-toothed tiger trying to eat you and a passive-aggressive email from your boss. If it perceives your chronic work stress as a life-or-death threat, boom, it activates survival mode. It instantly pauses your digestion, blocks deep sleep, stops cellular repair, and shunts all your energy to your muscles so you can run away. You can only heal your body and enter safety mode when you actively teach your nervous system to turn off those false alarms.
For anyone watching who really identified with that exhausted terrain, I want you to remember this golden rule. Energy is produced, it's not found. We casually talk about fatigue as if we just lost our car keys somewhere in the couch cushions, but energy is literally manufactured inside your cells by these tiny little power plants called mitochondria. The exhaustion you're feeling, it is not a lack of character, and it is not a lack of willpower. It's a literal cellular inability to produce ATP energy because your biological environment is poor and overburdened.
And finally, we arrive at Section 5, your new biological alliance. So the crucial point is how you actually apply all this, starting today. It is time to stop waging this exhausting, endless war against yourself and the bathroom scale. It's time to form a new biological alliance with your body and start treating it as your greatest partner. Forget all the crazy internet trends. Instead, use the Recalibrate Compass for every single decision you make. When you're faced with a choice of a new habit, a meal, or a routine, just pause and ask yourself, does this increase my energy, or does it steal my coins? Does this strengthen my vital reserves? Does this improve my biological terrain? If the answer is yes, you are exactly on the right track to restoring your biology.
I want to wrap up our time together on this explainer with a pretty provocative question. After years of carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, enduring all that stress, the lack of sleep, pushing through the pain and total silence, if your body could literally sit down in a chair in front of you right now and speak, what would it ask for? Maybe it's just a little more water, maybe a few minutes of sunshine, or maybe just some genuine, guilt-free rest. Your journey of recalibration doesn't have to begin with some huge, extreme overhaul. It begins with just one small, consistent step of self-care. Think about it. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you next time.